Hi guys, good afternoon. I think we're live on YouTube now, so welcome to everybody to this weekly outlook. Today's weekly outlook. Um, let's see. Not a lot of people in today. What happened? Sunday is a busy Sunday. A lot of chats, so no time to read all of that. We'll look at them. Today I have an appointment, so I'll probably have to hurry through the charts. We'll do as much as I can, but I'll have to leave like 4:50 my time, which is we'll do a 50 minutes webinar. I'll try to do the most important ones for you guys, show you what I see, and then next week we'll do a longer one where I'll take some questions if possible. Right? So let's go. Let's go right into it. We have a minute. Probably just wait a minute. So some traders who may be coming in on the spot should, exact time, wouldn't miss anything. For those of you who are interested, we just completed one course. I think the traders who finished that course are enjoying it. And we have had one more week of question and answering to the course, which we never did before. So it's still 6 weeks. The course is 6 weeks for those. Let me give you a very fast run on what it's like so that some traders who are interested. We might be planning another one in November because there are about a lot of people who are requesting now who missed this course and would like to do it. So November, mid-November, we might be doing another one. If you're interested, you can Skype me. The Skype address is Mangal. You can type that one. Let me just type it for you. It's going to be MANGAL 457. You just send me a message and you'll get all the your answers to it. Give you a very fast 3 minutes rundown to what the course looks like. When you join us, you can join anytime. You get access to the group, which means you're put into our group, right? What happens in the group when there is no course going on? In the group when there's no course going on, you get a daily webinar, which means every day, 8 a.m. London time, I do a review like I do it here on the chart, but a more in-depth review, where I will explain what the pattern is, what we're looking for, how we're going to trade this pattern, what strategy you can use, and traders go ahead and do their thing from there, right? Besides that, we have a trading room that runs 24/5, which means traders are always in there. They can discuss trades that they're seeing. They can share trade ideas with each other and take trades, basically, right? I'm in the trading room 2-3 times a day. I get into their room, especially during news events, very high impact news events. I'm in the room to be trading with the traders. So you get access to me there all the time, every day. So it's not like I'm away from the group. And the rest of the traders, we are in a chat. We have a chat that works. It never stops as far as I'm concerned. It just works 24/7. There's always people chatting with each other, sharing ideas, talking about something, not necessarily charts, basically almost about anything, right? That works all the time. And we have places where we share charts, snapshots of charts where traders can, share their ideas. Like you see a flag, you can post it as a chart in there, right? So you get to see that. Basically, that's what the group is. You get access to that immediately. Then you get access to the recording of the classes as well. So think hard before you join because it's non-refundable because you get access to the group, the class materials. You get to watch all the courses, and then you get to do it live with me. How does that work? The first week I do 1 week of classes every day, 1-2 hour we do classes. And after the first week, you get to practice what I taught you for the first week. You get to practice it in very small groups. Groups of 10, 15 people. You get to practice with with a senior trader of mine. You get to practice that for about a week. You get to practice, which means you get to share your ideas on your charts. You become the presenter. You share. We make corrections that you make mistakes on, and then we go on. The next week, the third week, I do another week of classes on everything you probably should know about actually trading. We cover everything. You don't have to worry about it. And then you get 2 weeks more of practice. 2 weeks of practice sessions. So that's 5 weeks. After that, I do 1 week of question and answer. So after all of this practice, if you still have questions with areas that you can cover, you don't know well, right? You're having issues with, you come and I take question and answer. The questions and answer are supposed to go like an hour per day for a week. They normally go about 2 hours per day for the week. So almost for the entire week we did it, it was like 2 hours. After all of that, you get access to the group and you still keep practicing and learning and trading. Now you can trade live. You can actually trade with the group live. You can practice, you keep learning. I still do the daily updates. So you get access to us every single day. We train you until you become successful. That's the motto of our group. We don't leave people. We train them until they become successful. Basically, that's the whole point. And we are here all the time. That's it. You're always in the group. There are a lot of traders who become successful and, they're doing their own thing, but there are a lot of successful traders still in the group who are helping those who are not so successful as yet. So you get that help constantly, right? Basically, that's what the group is. So if you're interested in taking the next course, you can send me a Skype message and I will give you the details. Right? Yes, everything is recorded and everything is posted in the room, so don't worry. And see, at traders, when new traders are joining, they always have like a million questions. Will I be able to ask you questions? Will I be able to do a one-on-one with you? And you can bet. I get in the room and said, okay, questions, shoot me. What questions you have? And there are 60 people there waiting, and they don't have questions. They're not putting out questions. We do Q&As constantly. Beside that, 1 week, every week, I do 1 or 2 Q&A, which means if my traders have questions, we answer them. And questions could be anything. It doesn't matter. There's no, all questions are good, right? All questions are good. So there is no, there can only be a dumb answer. There is nothing like a dumb question. So we discuss everything that you need to know about trading. So let's go straight into the webinar now because time is shortage. So dollar index. We're still in the consolidation. We remember earlier that you're not going to have a very active trade week last week, but you didn't because you got some short trades. And those were what my traders were looking at. Some short buys, some short sells, depends on the direction it's going. But because you're still in a sideways movement. And if you look at it, we're still in that sideways movement. There is a very good chance, I think, the movement will continue to the downside. We're expecting this to continue to the downside. So what you need is a little flag here. If you get a little flag here, see you got a flag there, you sell. If you get a little flag here, you sell. Everywhere you get a little correction. So you go into 1 hour, wait for a flag set up and you sell. So right here, I'll answer one very simple question. You see, I always take questions. It doesn't matter where the question is coming from or who's bringing it. So if you check on my YouTube video, one person posts a question that was brought to my attention. Normally, I don't read the post there so often because time is really not there. But this one was brought to my attention. Somebody said, if trading was as easy as a flag, you buy a flag here, you buy a flag there, you sell, everybody would get. It's not as easy as that. I agree with you. The problem is which flag you should buy and which flag you sell. And the next question is, how do you recognize a flag? After 6 weeks, some of my traders still ask me, how do we define the flag so much? After 6 weeks of learning, that was one of the questions. Was this a flag? Could we define this as a flag? So it's not that easy. It never is. But yes, once you're here and we give you that information, you can do it, right? That's the whole point. 1 second, guys. Let me just take off this thing. Good. Yeah. That's the whole point. So we train you so you can start seeing them. You can ask my traders how they start seeing patterns. One of the first questions I ask them, are you guys seeing the structure differently? 100% answer, yes. They start seeing structures clearly. That's the difference. And these were people who were following me for about a year on YouTube, some of them. So they, you can tell the difference from following me on YouTube and then being in the group and understanding and learning how to do this. So if you see a little correction or flag here, we're looking for a sell setup. Let's go to the euro. Euro has exactly the same except the opposite. Well, euro is going to be easier for you because you see me have the lines already showing you the direction we're looking for. Wait for a flag here. If you don't get the flag, you don't have a buy setup. And there is a reason you don't have a buy setup. This could continue to go more down, right? It's not a question. And I think this is where, especially traders who do not understand wave analysis, get mixed up with it, right? It's not a point of up and down. It's not like if it doesn't go up, it's going to go. It's when you see a structure, is it completed? And how do you know when the structure is completed? So there are times when a structure is not completed, which means the structure might continue to develop, right? And there are times when whatever you have in that structure is enough to say it is completed, but not necessarily completed. So let me show you what that means. If you get an ABC, you're looking at this, you got an impulse, you get an A wave down, you get a B wave up, and you're looking for a C wave to come down. I'll give you the simplest possible. Simplest possible, we will watch for it to come and break the low and then turn. If you know all the variations of structures that we will teach you, there are variations of structure where it doesn't have to break the low. It can stop here and go back up. There are variations of structure where it might even come and break this low and then go back up, depending on where you are in the bigger daily structure. There are variations of this where it might not break this low, but it doesn't go up. It come back here and then it goes down and then it goes up. It becomes a number of variations of how the corrective structure will develop. We know them all. We can recognize them all, and we see when one is developing or changing, right? When I'm doing a forecast for you, I will always do the forecast based on the very simple one. This is something you don't hear here, right? That doesn't mean when we get into our daily webinar, we do not see a change in the structure. That change may happen. We may trade it. We may come back in the next week here with you, and the change is already finished, which means this thing might have gone up already. We might have taken the buy. We might have taken the sell, and we're looking for the buy again. So the next week, by the time I get back with you, we're here again looking for buys. And then some trader comes and says, but yeah, last week you were looking for a buy. You didn't get it. What happened this week? No, we got that, and we got the sell, and we're looking for the buy because we do it daily. We follow the structure daily. When you follow it once a week, the internals, the lower degrees, you may have to miss it, or you do not get information that it's changing. Something we look at, right? So just to let you know, the structure, they're not that simple. It's not that simple. You just buy here. So it's understanding what is the bigger structure doing and what is the smaller structure doing internally, right? So if sometime we said, hey, we're looking for this to happen, it doesn't happen, that doesn't mean we don't see it, right? So right now I'm still looking for this to go up. Let it make this, and we want it to come back to this level. If you get it, you get the trade. The sell is not a trade you will get. I think this one was pretty easy. You could have seen all the trades we took here. You can see this one. You can see that turn here. You can see this trade. That was a sell there. Get out of that. I still think this will go a little more. I still think this is going a little more down, right? Because bigger structure, we're expecting it to go down so much, right? You can already see we want it to come back beyond this level. And then we will watch for the turning point. Aussie? Aussie making a bigger correction. I think we might get this dropping a little more here. There's a good chance they will go back up, and then we're going to get the fall. This is becoming a big sideways move here, big sideways correction for a fall. If you can monitor that correction on an hourly, daily basis to see when it's over, something like this. Let me show you an example of one. Yeah, we're starting something like that here. So if you were trying to trade there and I was here on the Sunday and I'd say, guys, you're looking for some downside here. We're expecting this to go down. And then you'd expect it to go up. Then I'd expect it to go down. But then it made this. We will still get that downside there. So you're still expecting some consolidation here. We will just have to wait and see how this turns out. Right? I think this is going to come a little down here, but the bigger picture is up. This piece is showing me that they're going to go up here, and then we might be looking for the downside. So we're just in a big sideways consolidation. That would be difficult for you to trade on any time frame. Okay? So short term, it's probably going to come back, retest the low, and then go up. New Zealand, this already went up. We got this. This is making big. I think this will just continue to go. You can actually move that there now. And this is probably going to continue to go. You'll watch New Zealand to see if it's breaking out of this structure. We were expecting the breakout of the structure here. Let me just show you this one. The breakout of the structure there, consolidated, then break. That didn't happen. It dropped lower. The sell came here. You're watching this to break out again. It is about breaking out. They're about to break out. So if they start breaking out of this structure here, the upside will be very long term. That doesn't mean this structure here does not drop one more lower, right? Possible, and then turn, right? That is the second option of how this complex structure could develop. So if you get a buy setup here, you just have to move it into positive, protect your capital, wait for it to go. If it goes, you're in the trade. If it doesn't go, it turns, it give you a break-even trade. On the opposite side, you get a sell. We had a sell setup here once it broke. I think we had two sell setups there once that broke, right? And you had a number of buy setups. I'm not even going to count the buy setups we had, right? So this is what we're going to look for. Wait for a flag here, get in the trade, and then wait to see where it goes, right? Yen. Yen, pretty much the same thing. You can look for a buy setup, take this out. That would be a break-even trade. You can still look. I think yen is going to go up some more. Sideways. We're going up some more here. And if they go very slow, we'll check for one more down and then up. If they go very fast, break this up, you keep the trade, because the trade to the upside could be a very, very long-term trade, a very big trade to the upside, right? I think we're making a bigger consolidation here now before we go, right? Either you get this is all the consolidation. I don't think this is all the consolidation. I think we're going to do something like this. You're likely going to drop and then go. So you might get a bigger flat here before you go. That is one of the possibilities. That's a very far forecast from now. So you just have to wait for it to play out. But I think that is the likely possibility of how we're going to see that go. Watch this as it develops to the upside. Any trade to the upside now is short term. It will be short term until you break the top. So you're getting a correction here. That would be good. We're getting some kind of a correction here. I can see that. If this correction drops lower here and then turn to the upside, that is a better trade, because now you get this trade, and that would be a good trade to take profit in and wait for another correction to buy again, right? The downside, the sell is not such a good one, right? If you get that sell, it's short term. If you had this sell here, that became a short term trade that you came out of. CAD, you may want to start looking for the possibility for CAD to turn. We were looking for the potential of this being a bigger flat here and then come back down here. So I think CAD could drop. But after dropping beyond this low, two things we look for. Go back to the daily and give you a CAD daily trade. At that point, we need to look for it to drop way beyond this and start making this big one to the downside. Either we start getting that this week. If we don't get that this week and they break out of this structure, we're going to look at this as all the correction. And this becomes an up trade. If we break out of this structure today, we will go long-term CAD. Because after that, there is no short-term structure for the downside. But if they don't break out, there is still a possible short-term structure for the downside. There's still a structure for downside, one more here, and then go up. All of this would be something like that, right? You can have 1, 3, 5, 2, 4. Or you can have 1, 2, 3, and this takes off. Right? Those are the possibilities. Right now, it's at a point where it is about to tell you which one out of those possibilities are going to happen, right? One out of those two possibilities have to happen this week. So we'll be watching the CAD very closely, because potentially you're going to have a big trade either to the upside or to the downside, depending on where this structure goes right now. And as it stands right now, it is not very clear. This would have given, this part is where we would get the very, very clear confirmation of where CAD is going to go. But so far we don't. Because we can look at this in a number of versions. I think I've spoken to you about this already. There's a possibility that's a leading diagonal. If that is a leading diagonal, we're looking for 1, 2, 3, and then downside. If you go back to like 3 webinars or 4 webinars backwards, go back to this date webinar, you would see I already gave you that pattern. If this is the leading diagonal, they will make a big flat here and then they will fall. Well, we have a big flat there now. Question, is it going to fall? Because if that is not the option, then this could also still be a leading diagonal. But now you make something like a big correction here. You drop finally for a C wave, and this is taking off. Right? The way this went down, the way that flat formed itself, make us believe that this is also potential, for upside. It didn't go the way I expect the flat to go. We're getting either a running flat or we're getting a low here. If we had a regular flat, we would definitely be going down. That would be 100% downside. But because of the way this flat developed, and it could be a running flat, then we would be looking for the downside to see whatever happens. Let's see if that happens this week. Go to the 1 hour. Wait for a down impulse. This was a buy setup. You see I had that intro. That was a buy setup that you'd probably get out of already. Wait to see whether this falls. Wait for a flag. That will take you about 10 hours. So you don't have to rush to get into the CAD right now. And then take the sell. Right? And then you can keep that sell for a very long time. If that happens, you can keep that sell for a very long time. Swiss upside, and we still expect this to go more up. This one is not a question of if, this question is when it's going to get to break that top. So go back to this one, and I think I've mentioned this one already. You can go and check that when this was coming down. We were looking at this as a 1, 2, 3 expanding flat, and I think I mentioned it to you. No matter how low this go, we have to go back up. It doesn't matter how low this goes. It could come all the way back to this low. This could have come all the way back to this level. The next move would be to the upside. And this was one that I told you there's 99.9% it will do that because we have seen this pattern. We know it. And we know that every time we see this, you get an up move. Every time you see that pattern, specific pattern, you get an up move. And we can find 1,000 that and show you. That's why we know that is how they behave. See, that's the whole point. Finding the pattern, understanding it, knowing it, recognizing it correctly, and then said, okay, if I got this correctly, this is how it will react. So we're still going up. And I still think they will come to break this stop at least. And if we're lucky, maybe break this stop. But this stop, they definitely need to break. So go back to the 1 hour. Look for buy setups. I don't think we're going to have a deeper correction here because we already have a correction here. We already have this correction here. So we're not looking for a deeper correction. I think you could get a smaller correction here, come back to this level, and then maybe go back. Rare cases, you'll get a deep correction here before you go. Very rare cases where they will do that. Pull back, make a deeper correction, then go. Possible, but in this case, not necessary. So you can look for your buy setups here. It's breaking this structure here. It's short-term breaking that structure because we're making a flat here. We're making a flat in this one here. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come down some more here and then start to go up. You can look for a buy setup. You don't have a sell setup here. Silver. Well, silver, short-term, it looks like we might get some downside, very short-term. We're looking at this. We're looking at this as a possible flat in the making right now. So let me show you that, what we're looking for. 1, possible 2, maybe come back here for a 3 and then go. That possibility, or just gets a little more complicated right in here. Bigger consolidation in this level and then take off. Pretty much like what gold did. Gold made that big consolidation there and then took off, right? So we're looking for that. I don't think now that they're going to come back to the low. It's unlikely. If at this level there was a chance they would retest the low, this structure that is developing now is rarely going to test the low. This structure is most likely looking upside, right? It's going to consolidate here for a while, but not get back to the low. It could still, but that's very rare. It will have to develop much more before it get back to the low. We'd have to see this come here. We'd have to see it go back. They will probably see them break the top and then come back here. Only under this condition, we could probably go back and test a little. But right now, I think they're going to be heading more to the upside rather than the down. Long term, this could be a very, very good buy. If you're buying at this level, you're still in a very good trade. Gold did exactly what we wanted to do, consolidate and break out. Right? Remember, I showed you last week, this is a consolidation to go out. Right? It's breaking out. We're consolidating here. We'll probably go more out. So if you're looking at this, I think there's a big gold buy coming on right now. See, we're expecting this to go up more. I don't think they're going to retest the low. I'm not looking at the structures retesting there. I'm looking at the structures going up more, right? And probably getting all the way to this top. So let's go and look at this on the 4 hour. You're getting some consolidation here. So if they're going to break out, it might consolidate somewhere. Let me just show you this. I don't think they're going to break out right now, but you can look for a buy above here. It's kind of in a consolidation here, so you get a buy if they go out. If this comes down, probably you want to ignore the sell because this becomes a bigger consolidation for upside. It's not a drop. They're in the drop setup there right now. So you probably look for the upside in this one. Even if it comes and retests this low, it's like this one. You know, when they drop and they retest the low a few times, 1, 2, 3 times, doesn't matter. They're still looking upside. Right? Euros coming down. We're probably going to have a very complex pattern here. You're getting a running flat in the making, I think, something like that. Up there, I don't think they're going to go out from there. I think we'll come back here and then probably go. Right? It's going in a big sideways in a 4 hour daily if you look at it, right? Big sideways movement. See, there's a big sideways movement going on here. So they might come back and retest this low here before we go up, right? It's kind of like this one. Big sideways. This one is only bigger in its size. Kind of going sideways for upside. On the shorter term trade, you might get a downside first. Based on this piece going down, you might get this retesting the top here, coming down very sharp back to make a running flat and then go back up. Right? So I think short term, you might be looking at some downside. Euro New Zealand, pulling back now, it's broke out of the structure. So we're waiting to see whether it's going to consolidate here now. Right? We broke the structure to the upside. So if you get a consolidation here, we would look for downside. So there isn't any sell set up as yet, but that might take a whole week or two to consolidate. If they consolidate there for the whole week, then we would look for the sell next week. Right? On the upside, I don't think you have any trade. You don't have anything to buy there now. The buying is too early. You have to wait for it to make a pullback here, and then if you want short-term buys, like while they're consolidating in this zone, if you want short-term buys, you can get that trade, and then they might come back here and go back there and come back here and go back there, and then you might get the wrong. So you might get some short-term up and down trade in here if it stays within that zone. Right. EuroCAD broke out nice. We're making, I think, a bigger consolidation here. I don't think they're going up totally. We're in this pattern. This pattern does two things with me if I explain to you, right? Either it's a running flat and it's going to drop to the downside. Either this comes back to the top here and then drop to the downside, making this a running flat. That's one option of how way you can look at it. And the second thing is you can look at this. They're just making sharp impulses to the downside. They drop here once more and then go back up, right? This looks more like a running flat pattern. So I would go with the running, for now we will go with the running flat option, which means at this point here, this goes up, we will start to look for the downside. Look for one more drop. It has to break out of this structure, correct here, and then we will go with the upside. I still think it's more to the downside because the bigger picture is showing you more to the downside as well, right? You look at this, this is showing you there's a possibility of it coming here and then dropping back. So we're looking more to the downside on this as a big running flat. Right? Euro Swiss, a little more up, but the bigger picture is downside, right? You can see this. When you start to see this, it will go up a little more, but that whole structure is downside. This big sideways move, it's a big one, it is still downside. So you might get a buy here. I think a short-term buy. I don't think it's totally going up. Okay? When they make structures like that, they go to the opposite direction. So let me show you a few of that. You can see that. It's not exactly this one because this one happened at the top of a move. When they happen at the top of a move, you get a drop. You see you get a drop still. You still get the drop before they go back up. That just becomes a big running flat, right? A huge running flat. In this case, this is happening at the bottom of a move. So you will still have the drop, but the drop is going to be like this, right? This drop will still come. Will it come from this point? Will they make a pullback? Will they consolidate more? So they can do that. They can consolidate there for a good while and then drop, but that drop will come. The consolidation is very short-term buy. You can keep buying short-term, but it's going to drop. Buy and sell short-term. Euro yen. Like we said, break that top and turn. See? So it's broke the top, it's turning. Now you notice how it's going? It's not going like these went, very aggressive. But there is a consolidation there and they drop. But in this case, we're looking for a possibility of a 1, 2, 3. So from here, we think they can go back up one more before they come. As a running flat in the middle, that is why we have this option. See those two options there? One of it going back up, then come down. The second one is of it coming down right now. The upside and then down is a very, very possible one. The upside is short term. Once it starts moving like that, we figure out that the upside is possible. So you might get some buy setups here if it starts to break out. I would let it break out first. I would allow this to break out and then pull back. They will make that consolidation there and then you can trade that up. Trade it up to this top, take your profit. Don't keep the trade, right? Can we look at Egypt to the weekly? You're looking at some very, very big one there, Ivan. Egypt to the weekly is on the downside, but that's a long time from now. You first need this to get there. You need this to come back here. You need it to complete this pattern. You very likely need it to go back up one more, and then you'll be looking for this. That will be something like a 1, 2, 3, come back here, and then probably upside. So this might stay here for a long time in the weekly. You definitely don't want to look at the weekly as it. We do those in our classroom for forecast. When we do forecast, when we practice on how to do forecast and how to do all of that, how to understand patterns and make them very complicated, right? Understand how complex it is. That's what we teach you to do. Not something I do in here. You would not even understand half of what I did just now. As to why I'm doing it that way, right? So Europong, still downside. You're consolidating, still downside. So we are expecting a big one from here. And this is a good example of how complicated they can become, right? Remember this piece here? When this went up there and we started to look for the downside to come, and everybody's like, oh, well, it's going. And then it stopped here. It went nice, and then it stopped. And somebody said, hey, what happened to your big downside? Well, I said, they're just consolidating. And then the drop is going to come. Break the top and bring the drop. They're dropping. You're going to get a next drop here. Look for this sell, by the way. If you get that sell, it could be really fast. Sometimes it goes really fast. So you want to pay attention. Look at that sell if it happens. And they're consolidating right now, so I think we might get the fall anytime, maybe this week. I see that consolidation going on there. We broke the top already, turning. You might get a sell setup right now if you're looking. Yeah, there's a possible sell setup right now forming. If you have a good strategy to trade it, which means you must know how to trade, right? If you don't know how to trade, then don't try to do that. Remember the three components of what makes you a trader. Let me give you very fast, because it's something I always teach my trader. Number one component of it is analysis. Why you need analysis? You need analysis because without analyzing the chart or without understanding what it is, you would have no idea what you're doing, right? The second component of that is a strategy. You must, when you have finished your analysis, you must have a strategy how you're going to trade it, right? So you analyze the chart, you understand what it's going to do, and then you go for your strategy. If you don't have a good strategy, you don't have a tested strategy, you yourself have not playing around with this strategy, somewhat tested, back tested, forward tested, you would not know if it's working, right? And then the third component, management. How do you manage a trade when you're in? Right? And what is management? What are the components of managing your trade? What do you need to do? What is the number one rule in all of this? Number one rule in all of this is preserving your capital. Right? The first thing as a trader, what you're doing is not only making money, you have to preserve your capital, because if you lose your capital, you're definitely going to lose everything. But if you can preserve your capital, you can continue to trade until you gain experience, you become very good, and then you become very successful, right? So those are the things. There are a lot of things we don't talk about here that we teach you, how to do all of that, how to manage all of that. That is what most of the one-on-one training I do with traders when they start messing with any of those three components, right? Or any parts of those three components. Then they come to me with a one-on-one, we sit down for an hour and I show them what they should do. I look at what they did and said, okay, this is what you're doing and this is what is wrong about it. So we're getting about a setup there. If you have a strategy, there's a good sell setup in the making right now. Punkat, you got a 1, 2, 3, you go back. So let's see what we're going to do. We're still expecting the Punkat to go down, right? So this could all just be one of the more complex flat pattern in all of this, right? Which means if you get a sell setup somewhere here, look for it. They do make those complex flat patterns at the top there, right? You see this one here? That was a complex flat pattern at the top there for a 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. You're getting a flat. Look for a sell setup here. If you get a good sell setup there, you could get a very good drop. Looks like this one is going to drop. Let's see if it is good. We don't know. It looks very much like that could happen, right? Right now, you're at that point where it could happen. I don't see a buy setup there as well. Pang Yen? We had a very big consolidation there, but we suspected it would be going down. We looked at the pattern and said we would like this to go down. We're looking for the downside. It looks like it's starting to go down. It's not going down the way I would like it to go down, which means it's not going down very fast. It's going down in very, very short impulses, very slow. That is not good. That has happened before, but it's not very nice. It's difficult to get the trades. It's difficult to have confidence to stay with them because they don't go, right? And when they do that, you tend to think that you might get an upside here. Because you keep getting into trades and you keep getting out of them. They take you out for break even. But we have seen this structure where they've done this before. They will pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, and then they will drop. They will drop very fast. Really, really fast after that. So you have to have patience. Don't try to get into buys until you get a breakout of the structure, a correction, and then go. Right? It looks like it's making a bigger correction, but it's not. Right? It's one of those patterns we looked at this week in our trade in this I think it was last week in the Q&A when we were doing this after this training sessions. It's one of those very complex patterns not identified anywhere. Right? Not in Elliott wave theory, and we have noticed it only twice on 2 charts, and we can't identify it as a specific pattern as yet because we've only seen it twice. We've seen it once on the pound dollar, and we have seen it in the euro yen. Those are 2 places we have noticed that specific pattern, the specific behavioral pattern of how they do this. Right? You can look at it into the internals and try to figure out what the internals are. The internals were not very clear. So we're paying attention to it, and if we start to see that repeating itself on the lower time frame, then that will be something we'll be looking at as a specific way this pattern behaves. Right? It's not anywhere, is it? It's not written by anybody anywhere. So we keep tracking how the chart changes, how it develops. If there's a new pattern coming up, what a new pattern means, when would you consider something you see 10 times, 15 times as a new specific pattern with a specific behavior? And those are the things we keep doing on a daily basis because there will be changes in the chart. Right? Patterns that Elliott would develop are not exactly the same patterns you will see now. There was no computer then. Right? People weren't trading Forex retail then. So it doesn't mean that there will not be patterns. The basic concept remains the same. Buy and sell. That's the basic concept. And once people are buying and selling to make profit, right? And it is actually to make profit. Not we trying to buy and sell to make profit. I'm talking about the bigger companies, banks, for example. When banks do conversion of currency, they're doing it for a profit. As long as that remains the main focus on how it's going to, there will be what you might call manipulation or what you might not call manipulation. It's just normal business. And that means you're going to have different patterns that will behave. Well, depending on how the market is behaving at any specific time, those patterns repeat themselves. So when you see something new happening from what you've seen before, you start paying attention. Or maybe it's not new, it's just that you've never seen it before. Because the pound yen happened about 2 years ago, the pound dollar happened about 2 years ago, the euro yen happened about, I think about the same time, about a year and a half ago too. So it's not like they're absolutely new patterns. Maybe they exist somewhere in the past, we haven't just seen it. We didn't pay much attention. Now we would do that, we'll go sort for it. That is what a vibrant trading group does. You don't just take something for granted. You don't just say, okay, I have this line, when it breaks the line, I'll buy, when it don't break the line, we'll sell or whatever. You don't trade like that. You have to constantly look at the market, study the market, understand what it's doing. And when you have a group of hundreds of very, very good traders, you tend to get good, you get good questions, you get good studies, you get good things happen. So that you know where you are, right? Let's go. Pound Swiss looks more downside right now. This could turn into consolidation. This whole thing here could turn into a bigger consolidation for one more up. Right now, this piece looks like it should drop to the downside first. And then we will see whether it goes up. So it's consolidating for the downside. I would like to see a down drop here, and then we would decide if this goes straight down or if they stop here and go back up one more. Right? That possibility exists. But we will still look for the sell setup here. And then we will see whether they're going to take off for the one more up. If they go one more up, it's not going to go very far because they'll just break the top and then turn. Okay? Pound Swiss is downside, right? This is downside, and the big picture is downside. I think we showed this already. Pound Swiss already broke. We already broke this structure here. This one is already completed. We broke that structure up. We're just putting back against it. This might drop here, and then if they make a more complex stream wave there, that would be good to go. Let me show you an example of how that behaves here. For example, when they broke this structure, so they broke that structure there, they kind of go down, but then they pull back 1, 2, 3. Actually, it's a 2, 3 like that. They pull back there, and then they drop. So you kind of make a consolidation after you've made a wave like that. You tend to consolidate before you go. So this might be the start of that consolidation before it goes. That did not stop me from forecasting it to come and break this low, and we forecasting this to go break this low. Because it will do it. We know it doesn't track in a straight line. So the ups and downs are the problem. It's why we got wave analysis. So right now, I think short term, we're looking for downside. Even if they break that up, they're still going to be going down. Right? When they come to this level, then we will make a decision whether it's going to go back up again. Likely it's going to go back up. Pound New Zealand coming down, and this might be the start of the very, very big downside. Might just be the start of it. We don't know that as yet. Just like this, we thought this might have been the start of it until we get that. And then we said, okay, nope, not the start, you're going up one more. We got one more up. If this gives us something like this and drop, we want that trade. And if it breaks the structure, we're coming to this, we're coming to this level. That could be a very, very fast move down. So you want to pay attention to this. You really, really want to pay attention to this, right? You wait for the correction there and then you're heading for the downside. What would that correction look like? We're looking for a 4-hour correction, not a 1-hour correction. So 1 hour short term, you can get upside. If you get a flag here, you buy. If you get a flag here, you buy, which means we will see 1, 2, 3 here, and then the downside. Let's see if that works. In a rare, very rare case, we might look for this to go retest the top. I don't think they will retest the top. I don't think they're coming to retest the top before they go. But short term, you're going to be looking for buy setups. If you get a flag here, you can look for a short term buy, just a small buy. Because if they're making an impulse up and a correction like this, we will get a move to the upside first. All right, so you would see that short term corrective structure they're making. Pound. This one doesn't look very much. It looks like we're just making a sharp move up here like this, and then we're probably going to drop. Also, long term could be very big to the downside. All right, let me just show you this. If that becomes a sell, we're going to be coming back here. I think I showed you guys this pattern already, and then probably make one more up and then go down. Right? This pattern is right here. See this one here? I don't think most of you can see it. So I'll just do you a favor right now and I'll show you. So you can take a copy of it. Take a copy of this from here and bring it across. I'll bring it here to this piece going up and just bring it across here. See those two spots there? Down, up, down, go back, break the top, come back down, and then go up. Right? We know that running flat. Yes, that's a running, but it's a complicated running flat. It's not just a simple running flat. So we're looking for more downside on this. Long term, more downside. Short term, I think they might be starting it already. Why? Because they could still, if you're looking for long term downside, it doesn't mean that they can retest this top here in the 4 hour and then start to drop. So if they break out of here and give you a buy setup, you can take the buy to retest the top. Once it breaks the top, take your profit off. Because after that, it could drop very, very fast. Right? So if it drops through this, go for the sell. You'll not just go for the sell and the drop, you wait for consolidation here, which I think will happen. If they, instead of breaking through, they do this, that's a trade for a sell, and you can stay with that sell for a while. Aussie yen. Look, guys, I might not go through all the yen pairs because of time. I think Aussie yen, you're going to look for a little more downside. You can start to see this. So we put an entry order there. Let me take it off. But that's a simple pattern. You can all recognize it. You've got a running flat in the middle there, and you've got a 1, 2, 3. So look for a sell for that. Right? Because of time, I'll have to skip most of these, and I'm going to do some of the Bitcoin. I'll skip all these Aussie terms because I think you guys would start figuring them out for yourself. So let's look at US oil. I think this might be interesting for some of you. We're going down. You might get some more downside, but then it's going to be short term. It's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. Make a big correction here before you go. Right? You made 1, you made 2. Remember when we said when they break the top, they will have to come back to complete the 3-wave structure. Well, they're completing that. A little more downside is possible. So short term, you might get some sells, but it's going to be short term, right? You might get some sells set up here. So for this week, it might drop a little more before it starts going up. And then once it starts breaking this, you want to buy because the buy is going to be an impulse. So if you start breaking out of this structure here, you look for buy setups. But once they are here, they can drop some more, right? Let's do S&P 500. This is one traders are looking at. I still think you can get some more upside in the S&P 500. So be careful with the sells, right? If you're going to go for the sells, then break the structure. And when they break that structure, you need to do this one. There's a good chance this is a 3-wave here, but we're not going to go for that as yet. So what you're going to look for here is watch this. If you're going to sell it, I think you got to be careful. I wouldn't even take a sell. Take a sell below this one, because I think this might still continue to go back up some more, right? They might go back up some more before you get a drop. It might even retest the top. There's a good chance you might retest that top before it falls for the bigger fall. There is a bigger fall coming. It's all in a big weekly, daily correction, right? I think I said that from the very start when it was doing this, right? We're making a big correction, right? A very big correction in this sideways move. And you can actually see those corrective structures. I showed you previously, you can see them again. Look, you had one here. This was one that is, we are pretty much in one like this one. See this one here? We're pretty much in one like this. A sharp move down, they climb up, climb up, climb up, climb up, climb up, and then they drop, right? So we're pretty much in one like that. Sharp move down, and then they climb up, climb up, climb up, and they're dropping. So I think this might give you a little more climb here and then drop because of the complexity of that piece, right? But if it's going to drop beyond this point, you're going to drop to somewhere here, and then you will start the up over again, right? You've got this one. This one is a very simple one. That's not a very big one. I don't think it started from here. I think it started from this point. We can relook at it to see whether that is it. But you're making a sideways move to go back up one more, right? Short term, look for sells. If it goes up, ignore the upside. Look for the sell, because the sell is the next drop, right? So if it make a good flag, I don't like that flag there. There is a flag there, but I don't like it so much. If you're in the trade, you don't take it off. Just put it for break even. Right? If you're in it, right? If you're already in that sell, put it for break even, because it might just come to about this level here and go back up. I think this would just go right back up again because of the complex structure we had in the A wave. DAX, it's coming down, but on the big picture, they will have to go back up one more, right? So they can drop a little more, but it's pretty much like what the S&P did, except the S&P wasn't this much sharp, right? But they do this, they could stay here for a while, and then they do a spike up and then go down back, right? So short term here, you don't have any trade for the sell. I think you'd ignore that. But if you start getting a buy above that, it will be worth it. Let's do Bitcoin for those who just joined, some of the cryptocurrencies. I think you can look for downside short term. It's kind of consolidating in this area here. See that? Take that out. It's kind of consolidating in here, so we should get a drop. All right, if we put it like that, we're kind of consolidating in there, so we're looking for one more drop to this level. Beyond this low, and then we can look for the upside. All right, it's just going to drop for the downside. Let this drop here, and then you probably look for buy setups. The bigger picture is still upside, but it's consolidating at the bottom there. So let me show you what the big picture looks like. Right? You've got that sharp move up there, and you start dropping like this, dropping. They're actually making patterns here, right? So all of this consolidation might just drop a little more. They need to break this low again once more, and then we can start to expect it. How low they go here would be a question. But to complete the pattern, we're expecting them to at least break the low. And then you can see how far lower they might go before they start going back up. Right? It's not going to go it's not going to fall right away down to, I think, 1,000, but it could go down some more. Come back here, and then you will get the 1,000. And it's going to come, but not now. It's going to be a surprise for everybody. XRP, let's see what XRP is doing. XRP is going sideways, and this one you can expect to go up. Right? You can expect this to go at least some more up, and then we would see. I don't think we're going to get any more down right now. We're looking for this already going up. We've got this there, drop here. They could come here probably and make one more drop, but I don't think we're going to get it. I think mostly we can look for buys above there, and they will probably retest that top. So if you're going to get any drop, it's going to be very, very short term. So put this here. I think you're looking more than we've got. This could be the B wave, or it could be part of a B wave, which means if that is part of a B wave, we're going to expect this is not very aggressive. So I don't think that's part of the B. I think this might be on the B wave here, or even if you put it without part. So you get something like this, you're going to start getting this going up. They pull right here, look for probably a bigger correction here, and then up again. Right? I don't think it's going to drop any lower than that. I don't think this wick exists. I don't trade this very much, but my traders say that wick doesn't exist. So we're going to expect this to continue to go up. In the rare case this drop, let's say they drop beyond this point, right? You start looking for buys from here. Just in case they follow the Bitcoin with a drop to this level, you start looking for buys from there, because from there they're going to go back up. This sell is not an interesting one. There's no potential to the downside. Remember the last time I told you about this one. These are easy trades. They're based on even logic. The downside doesn't have potential, right? If you look at this thing, this is what you're looking at, right? You've been here before, right? They consolidate and then they do that. So you're already in the consolidation phase. The next one is going to be above that. And how high above that it could go? Well, it could go to $10. It could go to $15. It could go to $20. We don't know. That's not a lot. If Bitcoin went to how much dollars this could go, right? You're in that consumption. You're not really keen about the sells here. You're keen about the buys. Now, time, the problem with start buying from the lowest time, because you could be buying your first buy here or second buy here, and if you keep it, you're dragged into time. Now we have seen that this thing has moved quite a lot already. So any break of this low here would have gone, which means they broke the low already more than once, right? They broke the low here, they broke the low here. So this one was a buy. Remember I said watch that buy. That buy could be, this could be your next buy that will take off. And this might be the one that is going to move, right? It's going to move very soon. And when it starts to move, it's going to definitely break this stop. So if the last time you kept it to $2 or $1 or from 16 to $1, and some people took profit at $2, whatever, you can now keep it. Remember this buy, we gave you that buy, right? At 16. I think it was at what was the price? No, sorry, 16, 18. So we give you a buy on this one, somewhere there, right? 14, 16, we give you that buy, right? So now if you want to buy, here is a good place to start buying. You can start buying in here and keep it, because now the next one is going to go above $3. And time-wise, that consolidation has gone for a while. You see, these are easy common sense structures. You don't even have to use a lot of logics here, right? It's just like, hey, it can go lower. The lowest point it goes to 0. That's it. And it's very close to the 0. But to the upside, it's unlimited. You don't know where the limit is, right? I don't know. None of us know. We can guess our way, but we don't know. What I can almost guarantee you that it's above $3. Check your risk to reward and see what you want to do. That's so simple. I think I'm going to end the webinar right here so that you can start thinking about this, right? These are these chances come once in a while. You don't get them at like these every time. Now, if all the cryptocurrencies are to collapse, well, not my fault. If all of them collapse, then you lose. But you can, if you take the risk, you can afford to lose it. This thing goes to 0. Spend enough money you can afford to spend. So if it goes to 0 and you lose all your money, you lose it. That's a risk, because I don't know how crypto works that well. I'm not a specialist in that. I'm a specialist in wave analysis. And according to wave analysis, from here, it could only go up. The structurally is already showing us upside. So you might want to be in the upside if you're going to trade this. If you're betting your money in cryptos being good, you might bet on this one. This is the one I think you can bet on. That's it, right? You don't want to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still in the thousands, and I think you got to really be careful with that. Take this as a chance. It goes to $4, you pull money out of it and then you wait. Or you move the stops with it. You don't have to even pull the money out. Move the stops with it, right? So, okay, guys, I really have to run. Sorry about making this webinar short for you guys. I hope I can compensate for that sometime this week. I promised this special webinar a long time. I'll try to do it this week impromptu, especially if you're interested in the course, you might want to join it. You can share the message for those who might be interested in the course to come and learn this stuff. And come here. Now, you can ask your question. I'll make it a Q&A, so you will get questions. You can ask questions there. I can't promise you that I'll be able to answer all your questions, because some of them may be reserved for only materials for the course, but I'll try to answer as most as possible. So sometime this week I'll plan it. It will be on Facebook, and when I post it there, I'm hoping you guys can help share it, because I'm not a guy who likes to do a lot of ads, you know that, right? So if you can help share it and bring it to traders who are interested, that would be very good. All right. So thank you for coming. Have a good weekend if you still have time left in your weekend, and I will see all of you next week. Sometime during the week I'll have a special webinar for you guys. So stay lookout on my Facebook page for the message, right? Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.